You claim to have an ED and got over it, but you still seem like you have one. Thanks, bitch. I put up a questionnaire on my Instagram and I said the questions don't even have to be related to me. Just ask me anything, and that's exactly what you guys did. We got so many questions and I'll be answering them today. Okay. Are you gay? If yes, who is your boyfriend? Girl. What are some differences you notice in food since moving to Sydney from Auckland? Okay, what I will say is that food is great in Sydney, but food is also really great in New Zealand. And I think it takes for someone to travel out of New Zealand or move away from New Zealand for them to actually realize this. New Zealand's food, we have it really good. And it's very multicultural in New Zealand. What Sydney does a lot better than Auckland is creating an ambience and vibe, whether this is through service or the decor of the restaurant. However, when it comes down to the actual food, sometimes I find Auckland restaurants a lot better. I'm going to say it. Like when we first got here and we were buying butter, we actually had to read the ingredients of butter because there were so many butter brands with so many different additives, and the butter that we landed on is a New Zealand butter now. So honestly, New Zealand is very slept on and underrated when it comes to food. Our food is great. Our restaurants might not have the same budgets in terms of interior design, but the food is really good in New Zealand. Being an influencer, Auckland versus Sydney. I would say that being an influencer in Auckland is quite difficult for various reasons. First of all, the industry is just a lot smaller with a lot smaller budgets. Events are a lot smaller. And because the scale of everything is a lot smaller, it's almost kind of embarrassing to take it too seriously. Whereas in Sydney, the brands are bigger, the budgets are bigger, the events are bigger. Hence, people are taking it a lot more seriously as there's a lot more money in this industry. Also, I've heard Sydney people talk about tall poppy syndrome quite a bit here. But I'm like, you have no idea what tall poppy syndrome is until you come to New Zealand. In New Zealand, it is still not frowned upon, but seen as kind of cringe and embarrassing if you really put yourself out there. And I had to catch myself from doing this. I remember there would be people in Auckland where they'd really be making an effort online to really get their name out there, and I'd be like, oh my god, they're so annoying and so cringe, and I kind of reevaluate myself, being like, why are you saying that? Because in all honesty, they're actually doing nothing wrong. They're just trying to do something for themselves. It's very embedded in Auckland's culture, New Zealand's culture in general, to just not really celebrate people that want to shine bright, I would say. What I will say though, maybe controversial, Auckland's content creators and influencers in general, because they're smaller, they're just a bit nicer and a bit more genuine. I have come across some amazing people in this industry within Sydney, but I've also come across some people where I'm like, not assholes, but I guess they are assholes because when I first meet them, they're not that nice to me, but when they find out how many followers I have on TikTok and Instagram, that's when they start being nice to me, and I can clock that from a mile away. Hi Albie, not sure if I missed this, but how come you moved to Sydney and are you still working in restaurants? Okay, first half of the question, why did I move to Sydney? I explained this in the video before, which I'll link below. But long story short, the reason I moved to Sydney is because, first of all, in the middle of last year, I realized that a lot of PR companies and marketing companies were not becoming exclusive to New Zealand anymore. They were becoming ANZ, as in Australia, New Zealand. So I found that that was kind of where the future was heading. So I wanted to be managed by an Australian agency. So Colt and I found each other. Colt with a K. Please do not get it twisted. It's not Colt with a C. And I signed with Colt. And then coincidentally, my roommate Louis, he got headhunted by a company called Eat Club to be their chief marketing officer. And I knew that this was a title and role that Louis really, really wanted for a long time. So I was like, maybe we just take this as a sign and actually make our move to Sydney. So that's exactly what we did. And am I still working at restaurants? Coincidentally, I actually transferred over my shares literally yesterday. This did not come as an easy decision at all. The original plan was for me to move to Sydney and go back to New Zealand once a month, but then that has proven to be just so much more difficult than I ever thought it would be. And my management style is to be incredibly hands-on, and me not being able to do that has not only led to my own frustrations, but also my team has been frustrated with me. I've not been a very good leader at all since I got here. So I thought the best way forward for the restaurant would be for me to step back. I'm quite sad about it, but I'm also really happy and proud. That's the chapter that I can close now. And I now am looking forward to what the future holds. I actually did do a trip back to New Zealand already to check in on my restaurant, but I really didn't like the fact that me going back to New Zealand was kind of holding me back from settling here. And I found that if I kept up that pattern of me just going back to New Zealand every month, I wasn't ever going to call Sydney home. So I thought it was quite important for me to really just stay here, find my feet, put my roots down here as well. So yeah, but that's not to say I don't miss hospitality at all. I actually really miss it. I've been contemplating getting a part-time hospitality job just to fill my time. Like content creation is great, but it's not filling 40 hours a week for me. So I thought that maybe like 20 hours a week I could do a job just as a waiter, because I just do miss the thrill of being at a restaurant during rush hour. What made you move to Australia? Already answered that. And getting long hair. This is because, first of all, I have alopecia areata, which means I get bald spots around my head when I get very stressed. So I wanted hair to cover bald spots if they ever came back again, which they didn't. And also another reason I grew my hair was because I knew that when I came to Sydney, I would not be very known. So I thought a good thing to have would be like a trademark. So I thought growing my hair long would be good, because I looked at the board of males in the agency that I'm currently signed with, Colt, and I realized that the Asian guys all had short hair. So I was like, okay, how do I differentiate myself from those guys? Grow it out. Do you miss your party days? Guys, I think there's a misconception that I don't party at all anymore. I party. I just don't post about it like I used to, and I don't party to the capacity that I used to. Instead of doing like 3-day benders and going home at 4 p.m. on a Sunday, after getting on the piss in the bag from Thursday, now I just have a good time. But I still go out with my friends on a Friday or Saturday night. I get some dinner, we get some drinks at a bar, we go dancing. Now the night ends at like 2 a.m., which is, I think, pretty appropriate. But yeah, I still have fun. I still go out. Do I miss the benders? I don't know. I do and I don't. I miss the freedom I used to have. I think I miss not giving a fuck. I think with age, you just become a bit more conscious because you're aware about the fact that you're too old to not be able to hold your liquor, so you can't be an absolute mess when you go out. But I do miss being a mess. I remember in RMV, my first RMV when I was like early 20s, which was quite late for RMV if I'm going to be honest. I was so fucked that my friend Braden had to like hold my back for a while, because if he didn't place his hand behind my back, I would literally topple over and faint. Yeah, and I did not care. And I literally make out with like 20 different people in the dance floor and not care about what people thought. I could not do that now, even if I was single. What do you think of an 18-year-old girl dating a 24-year-old guy and he asks her for money? Bitch, run. Run for the fucking hills. Holy shit. I hope this isn't you. Don't feel embarrassed if it's you, but like, get the fuck out of that situation if it is. Look, I've dated people that were older than me thinking that they were going to be so much more mature than me, more wiser than me. But then you get closer to their age, and especially when you get to their age and surpass their age, you realize, holy shit, they were only with me because they couldn't get anyone their own age because they're a fucking loser. What was the worst modeling experience / job you've had? Love you, king. Love you too. One job that really comes to mind is when I was in Korea. So when I was modeling in Korea, I was still an international model because I was from New Zealand. So I'm not going to name the brand because I don't want to get in any trouble, but it was a pretty big brand. And I was doing a shoot, and the photographer did not know I was Korean. And he kept talking shit about me while he was shooting me to the staff in Korean, and I could understand everything he said, but I just wasn't saying anything because I didn't want to make it awkward. But he was saying things like, oh, his teeth are pretty crooked, his left side is not his good side, oh, he's so stiff, oh my god, like he looks so different to his digis, and his portfolio, he's a lot smaller than I thought he'd be. Do you think we're even going to use these photos? He was just non-stop talking shit about me. At the end of the shoot, I looked him dead in the eye, and I bowed, and I said, 안녕히 계세요, 오늘 수고 많았습니다, which means thank you for your hard work today. And he looked like he had seen a ghost. He was like, and he just didn't say a word. Yeah, that was pretty bad. After that shoot, I've become a lot more aware of every flaw that I've had because he genuinely named every one. How did you meet your roommates? So many people ask me this, holy fuck. I've explained this before, but I'll explain it again. I was dating someone, we hated each other, and then I caught him cheating on me and a whole lot of other shit. like I can't even get into because I'm protecting his peace and my peace most of all. He was a very naughty boy and it all came out and I broke up with him on the spot when I found out about this stuff. And then the next day, I wasn't rostered onto work at one of the restaurants that Nama Group owned, which was the hospitality group that I worked for. But I need to get my mind off things after staying up all night and calling all my long distance best friends and my close best friends about what happened. And I decided to go to work to take my mind off things. And in came Louis as a customer. And then he messaged me on Instagram. We went on our first date. And within that next week, I moved in. And like, I didn't ask him if I could move in. I just moved in. And we made it official because he was playing games in the beginning. He was like, oh, like, no, I don't want to rush things. But I was like, dude, when you know, you know. I was like, do you want to hook up with other people? And he was like, no. And I was like, well, I don't want you to hook up with other people. So what the fuck is going on here? Do you want to put on a label on this or not? Or else we're going to play games and hurt each other along the way. No, I don't want to do that. So I think within the first 3 weeks of our first date, we made it official and I moved into his house. What are some of your favorite ways to cheer yourself up or get out of a funk? First of all, I allow myself to be in the funk for maximum a whole day. Bed rotting and staying at home and being miserable for a single day is okay. The next day, get the fuck over it. No matter what, you need to get out of bed, get ready, wash your face, do your skincare routine, wash your hair, wash your body, smell good. Get yourself out of that funk literally. You need to smell good and look good in order to feel good. I'm sorry you do. Go out, no matter what. Whether it's for a walk, for lunch, I don't care, for coffee, you just need to get out of the house. That is how you get out of a funk. The longer you go isolating yourself and not talking to anyone, the more you realize, oh my God, I can actually survive not interacting with people, which you can, but you'll be miserable. Get yourself out of that funk. What are your relationship expectations, gifts? No, I'm kidding, kind of. My relationship expectations is, this might be a bit weird to say, but I do want a bit of nagging from both ends. I want my roommate to nag at me when I annoy him, and I want me to feel comfortable to nag at him. I just think it shows that we care. It shows that we care and we're still checked in on the relationship. However, my friend Keelan said, you need to know when to pick your battles. There are times when I know that Louis had a really rough day at work and nagging will only make his mood worse. So there are times when I just swallow my pride and just let it go. But it's all about context. Nagging, I think it's honestly healthy. I would say that in my previous relationships, when I was completely checked out, I didn't nag at all because I was like, you can do whatever the fuck you want and I do not care. And I was doing whatever the fuck I wanted as well. And I was cheating on them left, right, and center. Okay. Rudest celebrity you've ever met. Before I get into this question, I want to preface that in New Zealand, we don't really have a celebrity culture. Jay-Z and Beyonce literally ate at Soul Bar and Bistro, which is a waterfront restaurant, one of the most visible restaurants in our city, and no one bothered them because we see it as very impolite and rude to bother someone, and we just let them be. Hence why a lot of celebrities actually like coming to New Zealand. So, with that being said, my friend is good friends with Diplo, and Diplo came to New Zealand a few years ago to do a show, and he wanted to go out for dinner beforehand, and he asked me for some restaurant recommendations. I gave them to my friend, and my friend said, you should come. Of course I'm going to come. It's Diplo. I f***ing love Diplo. I showed up. I said hi. He did not give me the time of day. But his team was really nice, though. And I was just kind of sitting there like, what is going on? Why would he approve of me coming to this dinner if he wasn't going to interact with me? But he wasn't necessarily being rude. He just had a guard up. What tore that guard down was he was talking with his team like, oh, who else should we invite to the show tonight? Like, who else do we know in New Zealand? And my friend was like, you should message Ella, Lord with an E. And I was like, oh yeah, okay. And I was like messaging her. And then Diplo was like, wait, how do you know her? And I was like, oh, she's my best friend from school. And then he started messaging her. And then Ella was like, oh my God, Albert, like I love him and whatever. After that moment, he started being nice to me and he started talking to me. So yeah, I think he's just a bit traumatized from LA and a lot of social ladder climbers leeching off of him. So I completely understood where he was coming from. But I think in New Zealand, you really don't have to worry about that. Hey guys, so I'm currently editing this video right now and I just remembered some funny stories about celebrity encounters that were just too good to not put in the video, so here we go. KJ Apa. This is when he was dating that girl Clara, and I have a friend that has the exact same name, Clara. So Clara and Clara were bonding. I don't know why, but KJ Apa was like quite protective of his girlfriend, which is fair enough. Like, I'm not going anything against that, but it reached a level when like he was like kind of stopping her from having any fun, and Clara was like just trying to like vibe with other people, whereas KJ Apa was very much in his own world. And my friend told him to go away and called him KJ Up himself. I thought that was really funny at the time. Another funny one is Rita Ora. Rita Ora, she opened for the Women's Rugby World Cup a few years ago in New Zealand, and she performed... Wait, did she perform in the halftime? I don't know. She just performed in the Rugby World Cup. And afterwards, we all went to the Rugby World Cup after party at this club called Shy Guy. And Rita Ora cut in line to the bathroom in front of me and my friend Andy. And then Andy was like, excuse me, get to the back of the line. And then she turned around, she was like, hi, my name's Rita Ora. And I think she was just trying to sweet talk her way to cutting in line. And my friend Andy was like, what are you, a fucking Indian dressing? Get to the back of the line, writer. And then she did actually end up going to the back of the line. These aren't really rude celebrity encounters, they're just kind of funny ones. But I thought I'd put them in here for a bonus. Tier celebrity you've ever met. Honestly, most celebrities I've ever met have been really nice. Even Diplo, he was really nice after his guard came down. Israel Adesanya, super cool guy. Jay Park, I did an interview for him and he was so incredibly nice and invited me out to dinner with his team right after, and he was so nice. He actually sat me very close to him during the dinner and kept talking to me throughout the whole dinner. And I would say the one that really topped it all was Youngblood. I did an interview with Youngblood, and although the interview was only like 2-3 minutes on camera, we were there for literally 2-3 hours just talking, shooting the shit. He was so genuine, and I really, really like that guy.
Right, I want to really f*** you here.
You want to f*** me? I really love him. He is exactly like he portrays himself. He is super genuine, super caring, treats everyone the same. Really good guy. I really hope he's doing really well. Favorite K-pop groups? You are actually the best. Thanks, you're the best. My favorite K-pop groups would be 2NE1 and Blackpink. But I don't think any group could beat 2NE1 for me. 2NE1 were the OG girl crush group. And by girl crush, I mean like badass concept when they're just like, I don't think you guys understand the impact 2NE1 had when they debuted. It was 2009. And this is going to sound really controversial, but genuinely, I'm just regurgitating what my mum said, my very Korean mother, who was very critical about people's appearances. When they first came onto our televisions, my mum literally said, who the fuck let those ugly girls debut? Because at the time, K-pop girl groups are very much so all about looks rather than talent. Talent came second and looks came first, and it was just a bunch of pretty girls singing about, and this is majority girl groups, guys, do not come for me, I'm not saying this is all of them, but a lot of them, their songs did not have a lot of substance. It was all about being pretty. Like there's a song literally called If You Want a Pretty, Everyone a Pretty, whatever that means. But then 2NE1 came out with a song called Fire, which was all about confidence. And then their second song, I Don't Care, which really, really established them as like the second generation of K-pop leaders. That song was about when they find their man being disloyal, and instead of yearning for them and staying with them and crying about it, they're just like, I do not care. I'm moving on. And that was genuinely revolutionary for K-pop in 2009. I also think no one can beat 2NE1's stage presence. I think K-pop's just so, although it's incredible the talent that these stars have when it comes to dancing, I think it's become so intricate and too hundies on the choreography that they don't have any freedom to add any ad-libs, or just their performance lack rawness, in my opinion. Also, let's not disrespect Girls' Generation like that. Girls' Generation, I will always have a special place for them in my heart. Are you no longer in touch with your biological family? So I am in touch with them every now and then, and it's just a very confusing one because I still have so much love for them and they have so much love for me, but they refuse to accept the fact that I am gay. They refuse to even acknowledge Louis as a person. So it is a very surface level relationship, and we just contact each other on special occasions like birthdays, Christmas, New Year's. But yeah, other than that, we just don't really keep in contact. My sister and I, we keep in contact because Genuinely, I just miss her. She genuinely was my best friend, and genuinely we have the best time together, even though there's that barrier between us now because I'm gay and she is very Catholic. But her and I contact each other every now and then because I just can't help it. Like, there are times when I see something come up on my phone, like memories, and I'm just like, yeah, I have no one else to talk to this about, and I just miss her. Any advice for healing my relationship with food? Eat. You need to eat, bitch. I genuinely don't feel like I am qualified to talk about this, which is why I avoid this question a lot, because my relationship with food is not perfect. I don't think anyone's relationship with food is perfect. I have good days, I have bad days, but I will say, I genuinely don't know how I healed my relationship other than the fact that I just had to fucking eat. And also I had to get rid of my triggers, which was the scale. I did not step on the scale for I think 2 years. And although I could see myself gaining weight, I knew that the moment I stepped on the scale, it was going to be game over for me and I was going to relapse into the ED. I also stopped looking at myself a lot in the mirror. I avoided mirrors a lot. And these were just triggers that I was avoiding in order for my soul and mind and brain to heal. I just allowed myself to eat and gain weight and accept that this was the circle of life, basically. I've gone so long of depriving myself, it was almost debt I needed to repay. So for like a good 2 years, I just ate without any restriction and gained a lot of weight. I'm not gonna lie, I gained maybe 20 kilos. And of course I was overeating and there was a lot of binging going on in there as well. Because I just had gone so long under eating, of course I was going to balance that out with overeating. It was just a matter of balancing myself out. And then I ballooned up, literally. I gained a lot of weight for a bit. And then I settled. My appetite settled, and one day, it's kind of like depression. You don't actually realize you're moving on from depression. It's just one day you kind of realize, holy shit, there was actually a time when it wasn't like this, when I didn't feel like this. There was a time when things were a lot harder, and you give yourself a pat on the back. But yeah, that's the best advice I can give you. Get rid of your triggers and accept the fact that you're going to gain weight, and you're going to have to do this sooner or later. The body is a lot smarter than you think it is, and it is going to do whatever it can to stay alive, and you're going to feel like your mind and brain is going against you because from some certain point, you're going to not be able to control yourself, but that is just your body staying alive, and you just need to eat. I know that sounds so much easier said than done, but bitch, eat. Fucking eat. Chica's Perfume, Byredo, Margiela, Replica, Jo Malone, Aesop, any faves. I really rotate my colognes. Right now I'm really loving Tom Ford Ombre Leather. That's my current favorite. I like colognes that are, I kind of want to smell like an ashtray. I like a very masculine cologne because I am so feminine. So I like that contrast and juxtaposition. I know you struggled about your weight before, so how do you feel about your body now? Whew. As I said before, I have good days and I have bad days. Some days I feel like I look great. Some days I feel like I look disgusting. Some days I feel like I look like I need to buff up. Some days I feel like I need to lose more weight. When I have a job that is I'm in front of a camera all the time. And that means I look at my appearance all the time. And I also come from a history where I have photographers and modeling agents telling me about all my flaws. I also am from Korea, where talking about physical appearance is so normalized. I am probably my own harshest critic, and I pick myself apart all the time. Today, I like my body, which is why I probably started filming. I'm not sure. That's a really hard question. I know I could be healthier looking. I know I could add some muscle to my body. But then I'm going to be completely honest with you guys, I get scared of getting bigger. Because for me, gaining weight is not just me gaining weight. It is kind of going back to that person that used to get picked on and bullied all the time. That's why I really fear. But I'm working on it. I'm working on it, guys. I'm really working on it. I'm trying my best. I have a good support system around me. My roommate is aware of all my struggles, and we're working it out. Yeah. Will you ever come to Perth? No. Fun fact, my biological father actually did his postgrad in Perth. I don't know. Why? Tell me why I should go to Perth, please. Who's a content creator you dislike? Bitch, you're messy. I actually don't have a specific content creator I dislike. I think I know a specific type of content creator I don't like. I just don't like content creators who have really tried to make it work in terms of their influencer career. They've tried and tried and tried. They've done all the things. And they know that food is the easiest one to penetrate through the algorithm because everyone loves food. Everyone wants to know where to go to eat. So they don't even care about food, yet they know that this is the right niche and vehicle to virality. And that's the only reason they post food content. And you can kind of see through it. Am I being messy? I would say they're the ones that I don't like more than like gossip content creators. I fucking hate gossip content creators as well. What is your dream job? I don't know. I genuinely don't know. Like some people say that I do have the dream job of being a content creator, but in all honesty, guys, this is really the least fulfilling job you could probably have. It's amazing and it's such a blessing. I'm so grateful that I am able to do this and make a living out of this, but there has to be more out there for me. There just has to be more to life than this. And I'm still figuring it out. I'm really happy right now, but I just know there's something out there for me where my brain feels a little bit more stimulated, but we're yet to figure out what that is. If you're someone that doesn't have a dream job, do not worry. I've never had a dream job. It was never my dream to own a restaurant. It was never my dream to do content creation. Things just happened as I was following my trajectory and journey, and I took the opportunities that came my way. And no, I'm not a fucking Nepo baby. People say I'm a Nepo baby all the time. No, I feel like because I never had a dream, it led me to do so much more than I ever imagined because I was such an open book and I was just keen to do anything. That's why I worked in marketing, I worked in advertising, I worked in journalism, I worked as a restaurant owner, and now I'm doing content creation. Like, I genuinely just kind of took every day as it came. And maybe that is what more people should do. Don't pigeonhole yourself into a certain career. Thoughts on Ariana Discourse given your own personal experiences? Assuming that's Ariana Grande. Unless you've been living under a rock, you would know that Ariana Grande has become the topic of conversation when it comes to body image and ED. She has her own support system, guys. Talking about it online literally won't do anything. It genuinely does not do anything. If anything, it fuels EDs. When I get comments of people being like, oh, like, you're looking really thin, or are you okay? I'm going to be completely transparent and honest with you guys. Part of me likes it. A part of me is like, oh, like, it tickles a little something in me. This might be controversial, but you are never recovered from an ED. It's like how addicts, like drug addicts and alcoholics, a lot of them don't call themselves, I am an ex-alcoholic. It's like, no, you're still an alcoholic and you are every day practicing the tools to not go back into that addiction. That's kind of how I see EDs. You might not be partaking in that addiction anymore, but still is in your head. And you are fighting every single day. It's just that fighting gets a lot easier. So yeah, I think talking about it online, whether it's concern, I don't give a fuck. It's not going to do anything. It's not going to do anything good. We don't know her personally. We just need to trust that she has a support system around her. And she's probably already addressing it and dealing with it with her team and her family. That's all we can hope for. And also, you can't help someone that doesn't want to be helped. I understand people's frustration and concern, especially when it comes to the influence that she has on the younger generation and what that's going to do to their body image. But seriously, it might be a hot take, but that's not her responsibility. That's a parent's responsibility. There are going to be different triggers throughout everyone's lives all the time. And I guess you need to teach your kids how to handle those. Do you have any advice for someone thinking about starting a baking business in New Zealand? I've actually had a few questions from people asking about starting a restaurant. Don't do it. No, I'm kidding. But don't do it. If you really want to get into the hospitality industry, please prepare yourself to fall out of love with it. Because once money, profit, revenue, margins, those things start to get involved, the love of the game really drastically decreases. And I can't reiterate that enough because that's exactly what happened to me. I loved eating. I loved working on the floor. I loved the rush hospitality gave me. And I thought that was enough for me to open the restaurant. It's not even 5% of it. If your restaurant can't make money, then your restaurant can't stay open. And I also underestimated the pressure of being an employer, being responsible for all these different people to literally make their rent. That's a lot. And that's genuinely why my hair fell out. And it took a long time to learn the ropes. And I still don't think I learned them completely before I stepped out of the industry. But I really almost want to protect people that have such a genuine love for cooking and baking and restaurants, to keep them from actually opening their own business, because a lot of the time that love will fade. And as much as I don't want to say that, I do need to prepare anyone that is dreaming of owning their own business when it comes to hospitality. One album for the rest of your life? I would genuinely say it is Lord with an E, Pure Heroine. I don't think you guys understand how much of a blessing it is to grow up with Lord in a similar life stage. So her and I are only a year apart, same school year, and a lot of the stuff she writes about just perfectly mirror the life stage that I'm in that current time. So Pure Heroine was teenage angst. Melodrama was heartbreak, which was when I had my first heartbreak as well. And then it's about solar power, which is kind of like you're fooling and kidding yourself into thinking you have it all figured out. And then comes Virgin, where you come to a realization, holy fuck, that was kind of a facade. And funnily enough, I've come back to that self that I was running away from so much during that solar power era. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying those are her words, that's just how I interpreted her albums, but that's because that was kind of the life stage that I was in. I could really just easily plot myself into her songs. But yeah, I think Pure Heroine just has this nostalgia that nothing can replace. Like, I was in my last 2 years of high school when that album came out. Your last 2 years of high school are already so... It seems like the end-all be-all. Add an album like that, holy fuck. Story time of your craziest night out. I've had a lot of crazy nights. What are my crazy nights out? I mean, Vegas. Vegas is always going to be crazy. I think what really topped it off was that, surprisingly enough, Vegas clubs closed quite early. They closed at like 3 a.m. I thought Vegas clubs would go till like all night and morning, but they didn't. So when the club closed, we got into the cab. We asked the cab driver to take us to anywhere that was open. He was like, I'll take you to the coolest place in town. He took us to a fucking strip club. And what made it worse was that my brother lied that he was gay and I was straight. So all the strippers were giving me a lap dance. And I was like, ah. There was another one where I went to Netsky. Do not ask me why I was at Netsky, okay? My friend was going through a breakup and he wanted to go to Netsky. I am a good friend and I went to Netsky with him, okay? Just don't. And I confused our bags of kit and coke. And I thought I was doing bumps of coke, but I was doing bumps of kit. So you can only imagine how that feels, all that horse tranquilizer. So I ended up floating out of the arena after the show was finished, making my way to PricewaterhouseCoopers, which is PwC, one of the biggest accounting firms. And I just sat under the PwC tower for like 2 hours K-holing. This is why I don't miss substances. But yeah, that's a very crazy night as well. I also f***ed a male stripper. K-Beauty hot take. K-Beauty is becoming gimmicky, man. Louis bought me that Medicube Pro Booster, and I'm not sure if it's done shit to my face. It just takes way too long. I do not have 10, 15 minutes every night to do that. I'm sorry. Is there anything you hate about being an influencer? I think I touched on this before. It is not very fulfilling. Especially because I don't consider myself as a content creator. I consider myself as a content documenter. I am simply living my life and documenting it. The only real creating I'm doing is YouTube. And this is my first taste of like, oh shit, like content creating, it can be a real fucking job. Like this is intense. It's a lot of work to really create content, as in make proper videos and edit proper videos. But when it comes to like a TikTok and stuff, that is just so easy. What else is there? There's a certain dance that influencers do. So you go to an event and like you all fucking know each other because you're all on like social media you guys don't get off your fucking phones, and our algorithms are probably all very similar. And like they pretend they don't know you, and you pretend you don't know them, and then like, it's just this weird gay dance, and I refuse to take part in it. I'm just like, I know you. Hi Albert, I'm really interested in seeing what kind of ring you want. Love you too. I just want a ring. At this point, would I accept a daisy chain? No, but I just want a ring. I don't want any ring that's like a thin band with a big rock. I just find that's like not for me. I'm gonna leave that to the ladies. I'm sorry. I would love like a signet ring with a diamond in it. The reason why Louis keeps postponing this engagement is because apparently the ring that I showed him is like $100,000. I'll put a photo of it here. I did not know it was $100,000 because I don't know what diamonds are. Like I don't know what a carat looks like. So I just sent him a reference photo and he was like, oh yeah, the ring you sent me is $100,000. So if it's not that ring, it better be that ring if it's taking this fucking long. We've been together 3 years, which is 30 years in the gay world. Does everyone in Auckland do coke? Yes and no. Depends on what circle you're in. There was a point where I did think like, holy shit, does everyone do cocaine? I say that they do it a lot more in Auckland than Sydney, but maybe because I'm just like not in that scene anymore, but who knows? Actually, no, people in Auckland do a lot more coke because I go to events now and no one's really doing bumps. And like, you can always tell because it's the ones that go to the bathroom very, very frequently. So when I started going to events here, I was like, oh, I hope like no one's really on that vibe because like, I'm not on that vibe anymore. So I just didn't want to be the odd one out. But you're almost the odd one out if you do bumps in the bathroom during an event. But in Auckland, people were doing it all the time, I remember. Or maybe I just was. Who knows? If you're allowed 3 foods for your last meal, what would they be? Definitely Louis' chili. I love Louis' chili. Actually, anything that Louis cooks. When things get hard for me in terms of my eating, I avoid meals and I'm like, oh, I don't want to eat. But if Louis cooks something for me, that's something that I just can't decline. And I eat all of it because like his whole heart, soul, and hard work has gone into this meal and I just can't bring myself to not eat it. So yeah, he knows that's my weakness as well. So when I'm like kind of being restrictive, he cooks for me and I just scoff it all down. Would you ever do backpacking across Europe or Asia? Backpacking, no. Europe or Asia? Of course I would go to Europe or Asia. Backpacking's just not my thing. I'm 29. I'm not in the life stage of backpacking anymore. I've stayed at a hostel before. I stayed at a hostel once and that's why I did meth. First date tips. I've actually gone on a lot of dates. I had a rule to myself when I was single, actually even when I like, had a boyfriend, never say no to a date. I don't do that anymore, but my previous boyfriends, I don't like them, so of course I was going to date other people. If people asked me on a date, I'd say yes, no matter how ugly they were, how much I wasn't attracted to them, whether it was their appearance or their vibe, I just still went on it. You become a lot more aware of the things you like and the things you dislike, and if worse goes to worse, you come out of a really bad date with a really, really great story. So I would say my first date tips is just don't take it so seriously. It's just a first date. I think you can alleviate a lot of the pressure of a first date when you realize that it's also about you. Don't be so nervous about you meeting your date because your date is also meeting you. Like you guys are in the same boat. And if you want any tips for when the date is going bad, just talk about yourself. Just talk about yourself. Use it as like a therapy session because you're going to be there for like an hour. And if this date is a dud, just be like, you know what? Get another drink, talk about yourself. Just unload some shit. Vent about anything, whether it's like something that's fucking you off at work or it's your friend that's fucking you off. Who cares if they don't know who you're talking about? Just vent. Use them as an emotional punching bag for an hour and get out of there. How do you stay thin when it seems like you eat non-stop? I don't eat non-stop. I also run. I also walk a lot because I don't have a car here in Sydney. I do like 20,000 steps a day, but I have a pretty active lifestyle and I don't eat non-stop, guys. The only, like, this is why social media is such, it's so fake, man. When you see me eat in a video that's like 7 minutes long, you think I'm eating non-stop because it's all you see, but it's not all I'm doing. And those are just like some days. Maybe I'll post some other days of when I'm not eating that much to give you guys a more realistic point of view. You claim to have an ED and got over it, but you still seem like you have one. Thanks, bitch. An ED is not something that you ever fully recover from. It gets better, but there are good days and there are bad days. And just like a recovering addict, you're always kind of practicing those tools to stay out of the addict habits. How difficult was to work on your ED while working in an industry with impossible standards? So I'm assuming you're talking about modeling. I did a model for, I think like eight years. I did a model. I did not model for 8 years because I knew that was a trigger. Just like how I didn't step on the scale for years, I didn't model. I needed to get out of the industry in order for me to heal my mind, body, and soul. So I can't really give any advice on that because I didn't work in an industry with impossible standards during my recovery. However, now that I'm getting back into modeling, I won't lie, it's kind of triggering in a way, but I'm very good at managing these triggers because I just tell my roommate Louis about it. But the industry has changed quite a bit. Like, there's not so much focus on what my measurements need to be, how skinny I need to be. Like, there's actually not any talk of that. So it's actually gotten a lot better than 7 years ago, 8 years ago, 10 years ago. Back then, they were so much more strict about measurements, and I would get measured every week at the agency. But right now, it's actually pretty chill. And I also think because I established a name for myself before modeling, I'm not just this blank canvas anymore, that when I do modeling jobs, it's not purely because of my appearance, it's also because of the brands that I built. So there's not so much of an emphasis on my looks anymore. Still a lot of pressure when you're seeing yourself on camera and photos and videos all the time. But as long as I communicate these feelings to my roommate Louis, I'm good. How do you navigate the harassment online? Do you ever feel the need to stop content creation? Honestly, what I've learned from being online to this scale for almost 10 years now is that you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. You really just can't please everyone, so why bother trying? It is super frustrating because we are living in a day and age of the short form epidemic. So people these days do not want to watch long form content, which means people are lacking context and nuance. So they're just believing any 30-second snippet they see on TikTok without actually doing further research into the context. A perfect example of this is Michaela Nogueira, whatever. She made this comparison about drag queens and clowns, and her point of that conversation was that drag queens shouldn't be seen as harmful to society because at the end of the day, they're just doing what clowns do, as in they're putting on a lot of makeup and putting on this extravagant show for people to see. Yes, it's not the best comparison, but she wasn't meaning that with harmful intent. But then this fucking gossip TikToker, I don't even know what her name is. I'm actually not even going to platform her. She was like, here's Michaela Nogueira being a MAGA, and she is talking shit about drag queens. I'm like, you know what? Save it, bitch. Biggest regret and biggest achievement. Biggest regret. I don't regret anything. I genuinely don't. Which sounds so cliche, but I genuinely don't regret anything because it's led me to be where I am today. I don't really regret anything. I own it and I learn from it. I think that's why I never had anxiety, which is anxiety when you're hungover, because I just owned everything I did. Even if I said some whack shit on the night that I was intoxicated and on substances, I'd be like, wasn't my finest work, but that me. Biggest achievement? Opening my restaurant was definitely one of my biggest achievements. Writing a book was a really big achievement. That was a huge feat because I had a full-time marketing job while I was writing that book. And also moving to Sydney was such a big achievement for me because things were going so good in New Zealand for me. And for me to leave that behind in order to take the next step, yeah, that was really hard. I think it's actually easier to move countries when things aren't working out for you. But things were going really good for me in New Zealand. But there was a possibility that things could get better here. So I took that chance with my roommate. And also, biggest achievement is bagging my roommate. Except I haven't completely bagged him because I haven't got the ring. What's your positives and negatives for moving to Australia? Okay, first of all, positives. Weather is amazing here. The weather's so good, guys. It's so nice. Sydney locals also complain that there's not a lot to do here. I don't know what the f*** they're talking about. I think they just have that thing where you take things for granted when you live in a certain place for too long and call it home. There's a lot to do here all the time. Monday to Sunday, the streets are bustling in the CBD, not in the suburbs, in the CBD. And it's just, there's something to do. There's places open, there's places to drink, there's places to eat. It's an amazing city. It's beautiful. I will say though, it does finish quite early. And that's a positive and a negative. I think it's a positive for me because I am currently at a stage in life where I do not want to be out that late all the time. So it's actually a really good infrastructure to have. But if I was like in my early 20s, I'd hate that. Like Sydney people, they start drinking at like noon and they end it before midnight or like at latest 1 a.m. Whereas like in Auckland, like, yes, we start drinking at noon, but we go till 4 a.m. Like, you know? The way, and Sydney people like talk about Auckland as being like, holy shit, you guys are like the biggest benders I've ever seen. I'm like, yup. I think the next thing I'm about to say is interesting because it's a positive and a negative. It's not the easiest to make a friend group in Sydney. And I like that because I do not want a friend group at this age. I'd say making friends, okay, look, I can't really have a fair judgment on what it's like to make friends in Sydney because I'm not going to be naive here. I have a social media following and a lot of people in Sydney care about that. So once they see that, they want to become friends with me. That's just how it is. So it's been quite easy for me to make friends, but it has been hard for me to make a friend group. And that might be because I just don't want to make a friend group. At the age of 29, you've come to realize that friend groups are fake. Everyone in that friend group hates each other, especially if it's a friend group that's still stringing along from high school. You've all outgrown each other. You all talk about each other. Move on. And negative is the simple things I miss my friends and family. I would say there's a little bit more casual racism here. I'm not one to like play that card, but I see. This is from first-hand experience, and I also see it happen to a lot of fellow Asians, is that they get targeted quite a lot. And whenever my roommate, my white and shining armor is not with me, I do feel like people just kind of pick on you. Like there was a time when I was walking Chewy, and she was just galloping, which kind of looks strange to some people, but she was galloping, and this person was like tapping me on the shoulder, and I was like, are you okay? And I took off my headphones and he was like, you're dragging your dog along the footpath. He was this old white man. And I was like, I think she's good. Like, I know my dog. She's not being dragged. Don't worry. And it was like in this really slow, patronizing, like tone, as if I couldn't speak English. She was like, you are dragging your dog. Understand? And then he said under his breath, like, you people don't even know how to walk your own pets. And I was like, I wasn't proud about what I said to him in return. I said, why don't you mind your own business, you old cunt? And I think it's because it's within Asian culture to not be confrontational, that a lot of people take this for granted, and when they're having a bad day, they treat Asians as targets. Another experience I had was that when Louis and I were crossing the road, a pedestrian crossing, it was green, we were crossing, there were two Asian guys in front of us, and the car was trying to turn right, and it was like, give way to pedestrians. But that car started honking and screaming at the Asian guys, but then me and Louis were fine. I was like, what the f***? And the Asian guys apologized, even though they didn't do anything wrong, which is exhibit A of just Asians are seen as easy targets. I wouldn't say it's very cheap living here either. It's quite expensive. However, Auckland has become very expensive as well. So I think if you live in Auckland and you've like been living by yourself, you'll be fine. You've trained yourself to live in Sydney. Is Australia really worth the move? Is it as good as everyone is making it? Guys, I can only speak for Sydney, but you genuinely can't really compare Auckland and Sydney. Sydney is kind of on a lane of its own. It's genuinely such an amazing city. Auckland has its own charm, and I will forever love Auckland, but Auckland is very small. Sydney has a lot more opportunities. Sydney has a lot more people. I don't want to bag on Auckland, but it's just, you can't compare it. It's so close to Auckland, yet so different that if you ever think you're moving, just bite the bullet and do it. Do you want to have kids in the future? Look, I go back and forth about this because my mother was very instrumental in my life. I can't imagine what my life would be like without my biological mother and now my new mum. She understood things that my father could never. And just that maternal instinct that my mum had with me is just something that can't be replaced, in my opinion. I do not know what it would be like to have two dads. I genuinely don't. So I'm not sure if this is me and maybe I have maybe I have homophobia instilled in me from my biological parents, but I don't know if it's fair to have children as a gay man. That's going to be so controversial for me to say, and it's going to be such a hot take, but that's genuinely how I feel, and you know how I'm always honest with you guys, but I just don't know. I really want children, I do, but is it almost selfish of me? I genuinely don't know. If you're someone that has grown up with 2 gay dads, please actually leave a comment and actually give me some perspective on this and if your upbringing was good or not. But I already have the baby names stored in my head. I think if Louis and I ever had babies, we'd adopt. There are so many children that need adoption. And another hot take, like, if we did surrogacy and like, you can only get 1 sperm, right? If that baby doesn't come out Asian and it comes out Ranga, I'd be like, oh, it's Louis and not mine. You know what? I just can't help it. That's how I feel. Children is something that I genuinely want them so much, but I just don't know if it's the right thing to do. And I go back and forth on that every single day, multiple times a day. And if we do have kids, it is much further down the line, like in 10, 15 years, because I want to be able to give our children, everything they want and more. Anything you would have done differently getting to where you are now? Less drugs. I mean, I don't regret those nights out because I had a lot of fun, but also like, it was a lot of drugs. And I feel like that genuinely did affect my brain a bit. And that's the reason I'm kind of like all over the place right now. Like, you know, like people like ask me in my videos, like, oh, like you seem like very like ADHD, which I am, but I'm also like, I think I'm also kind of like drug from the past. How do you stay positive about life? What keeps you going? My mantra this year has been equanimity. It's like even like the screensaver on my phone. Equanimity is just the knowledge that everything is exactly as they should be. Like whether the milkshake that I ordered is terrific or terrible, it's all equal. I know that there's a difference, it's just that differences have no consequence to me. I've reached a state of pure harmony. That's what Maddie says in Euphoria. I know I sound fucking dumb to be quoting Euphoria like that, but it genuinely changed my perspective so much and taught me to just calm the fuck down. I've also always been the type of person to romanticize life and find the poetry in life. It's all in the little things. And when I was really, really depressed as a kid, I remember I saw this video from Eat Your Kimchi's Martina. She's now known as Kinkogi, and it was called like building a ladder. And rather than setting expectations, you set goals for yourself. And those goals could be like going out for a coffee instead of bed rotting at home. Just little things that really get you out of that slump. That keeps me positive. Just knowing that little goals like that can make a big difference. So yeah, I would say if you're in a slump and you're feeling like shit, don't overwhelm yourself with goals of changing the world. And like, I'm not going to be depressed. No, build a ladder. And I'm quoting King Kogi on that. Thank you, Martina. Biggest heartbreak. Oof. I've moved on and moved past all my relationship heartbreaks, but I think my friendship heartbreak with Cholita is probably the biggest heartbreak because I still think about her to this day. Her and I had a very, very special friendship, and unfortunately, sometimes friendships just don't last the test of time, but that doesn't mean it's the end forever. Like, friendships come and go, but they also come back, and who knows, like maybe one day we'll reconnect. But that's a breakup that I think is probably the one that's affected me the most. I don't think about any of my ex-boyfriends or ex-girlfriends, but I think about Cholita every day. Yeah, I do. I'll admit that. She was a very special person in my life, and I think it was necessary for us to end the friendship when we did, and then we have gone our separate ways to grow. And I actually do hope that one day her and I can reconnect and come together again. We both have a lot of healing to do. She hurt me a lot. I hurt her a lot. And that takes a lot of time, but I do truly believe that one day we could reconnect. And I hope we do. A lot of you guys are asking about Cholita and my law drop. Fucking hell. Death row meal. A lot of you guys have been asking about my death row meal. Okay, death row meal. Let's think. For breakfast, it would be a scallion cream cheese salmon bagel from Brooklyn Bagels in New York. And I have that with an iced latte slushy from Costco. I'm not sure if any other Costco, apart from the one in New Zealand, does this, but it's like a coffee slushy and it's so good. Lunch would be tteokbokki with cheese and noodles. And I'd have a crisp can of Milkus on the side of that. Dinner would be a 3-course event. It would start with the twice-baked goat's cheese souffle from the engine room as my entree. And then my main would either be Louis' chili, because I love his chili, or the creamiest, dreamiest fettuccine alfredo that the world could ever think of. But then I also fucking love sushi. I genuinely love sushi, guys. Sushi is one of my favorite foods. But something that I just eat every day. So I was like, would it be my death for a meal? Maybe it would be. I think it would be a really, really, really creamy Alfredo with a nice veal schnitzel cut up on top of it, which sounds gross, but that's what I'm feeling right now. And I'd have a side of cos lettuce with anchovy mayo and parmesan and poor man's parmesan as well, which is like sourdough crumb. And then for dessert, it has to be the cookie skillet from Depot Eatery, which is this delicious cookie in a skillet that's warm, and there's a cold vanilla ice cream on top of it, and there's Hershey's hard shell chocolate on top, which you crack. That's so good. Or chocolate lava cake. Anything that's hot and cold, I'm all about. Would you ever start a podcast? Isn't this kind of a podcast now? To me it is. Well, that is all the questions that we have for today, and I am starving right now. It is currently 1 p.m. and I have not had anything to eat, and I'm going to get myself something to eat. I can barely think. So yeah, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I had a lot of fun doing this, and until next time, mwah.